Viking Age. Up to the 11th century, Danish villagers lived in timber longhouses framed by oak posts set straight into the soil. Woven hazel branches daubed with clay formed the walls, and a thick reed or straw roof kept out North Sea rain. One deep hall served every need: cooking, sleeping, storing grain, with livestock sheltered at one end for warmth. Excavations at Trelleborg and Leisure reveal central hearths, packed earth floors, and smoke-darkened rafters, a practical design for a farming, sea-roving society. Traditional half-timbered. From the late Middle Ages into the 18th century, bindingswerk became Denmark's trademark. Craftsmen built oak or pine frames, braced them with diagonals, and filled the panels with brick or clay. Lime wash protected the walls and highlighted the structural grid in cheerful reds, blues, or greens. Roofs varied: thatch in the countryside and orange pantiles in market towns. Streets in Ribe, Kogue, and Arrow still display crooked beams and low ceilings that speak to timber thrift and local color. Marsh Farms. Starting in the 16th century, farmers in southwest Jutland raised elongated farmsteads, or marsgard, on earthen mounds to survive tidal flooding. Thick brick side walls, half-timber gables, and deep thatch resisted wind-driven rain. Dwelling, byre, and hayloft sat beneath one roof, so body heat and stored fodder warmed living quarters. Small window openings conserved heat, and low ridges reduced wind drag, giving these houses their distinctive silhouette along the Wadden Sea. Renaissance. Under King Christian IV, whose reign ran from 1588 to 1648, Dutch masons introduced stepped gables, patterned brickwork, and sandstone trim. Townhouses climbed to 3 stories to maximize narrow plots inside Copenhagen's ramparts. Symmetrical window rows and carved date stones showed off merchant prosperity, while deep plans funneled daylight from the street to rear workshops. The facades of Magstrade and Snaregade illustrate how Baltic trade reshaped Danish urban form. Baroque. From the 1680s to about 1740, noble estates adopted Baroque symmetry: plastered brick facades, organized on a central axis, displayed pilasters, segmental pediments, and rusticated corners. Formal staircases led to enfilade reception rooms lit by tall sash windows. French-style parterre gardens lay beyond, scaled to Danish budgets and climate yet projecting dignified grandeur. Rococo. Between roughly 1740 and 1770, lighter colors and curved profiles softened earlier formality. In Frederiksstaden, townhouses gained gently arched gables, wrought iron balconies, and shell-carved window heads. Interiors featured pastel wall panels, gilded mirrors, and stucco scrolls that bounced candlelight through compact salons. The shift from Baroque to Rococo highlighted a growing taste for intimate, socially attuned urban living. Neoclassicism. From the late 18th century into the early 19th, architect C.F. Hansen promoted Greco-Roman calm. Smooth stucco or fine red brick walls carried shallow pilasters and triangular pediments. Entrance halls opened to paired reception rooms, while service wings tucked behind. Proportions followed Enlightenment ideals of reason, hygiene, and civic dignity, an ordered rhythm still visible on many Copenhagen streets. Historicism. Throughout the 19th century, booming industry encouraged eclectic facades that mixed Gothic lancets, Renaissance gables, and Baroque volutes. Steam-powered brickworks enabled colorful bonds and terracotta ornaments, while cast iron beams stretched wider shop fronts. Apartment blocks in Vesterbro, Aarhus, and Aalborg show how brick versatility let builders quote multiple eras on a single elevation, creating lively streets for a new urban workforce. National Romantic. From about 1890 to 1915, architects searched for a native voice. They paired steep red tile roofs with deep-set arched windows and robust brick or granite walls laid in patterned bonds. Inspiration came from medieval churches, Viking motifs, and rural barns, underscoring craftsmanship and national pride. Housing around Grundtvigskirke in Bispebjerg, built between 1913 and 1926, shows the style's fortress-like yet homely character. Skagen Houses. Since the late 19th century, the fishing town of Skagen has showcased ochre-yellow cottages trimmed in white and topped with red pan tiles. Low dormers admit attic light, and corner chimneys brace gable ends against gale-force winds. Painters of the Skagen school popularized the bright palette, later protected by local bylaws, making these houses an enduring coastal vernacular. Skønvirke. Danish Art Nouveau, active roughly from 1900 to 1920, introduced subtle curves and plant motifs, softly bowed bay windows, vine-like iron balconies, and polychrome glazed brick panels enlivened facades. Though gentler than Belgian examples, Skønvirke forms a brief decorative bridge between eclectic historicism and strict modernism. Bedre Byggeskik. The Better Building Practices movement, roughly 1915 to 1938, promoted balanced proportions, red brick walls, white windows, and steep tile roofs. Plans were practical: a central hallway, kitchen facing the garden, and a parlor toward the street. Ornament stayed modest, often limited to a small classical porch, emphasizing craftsmanship, local materials, and light-filled interiors for a growing middle class. Nordic Classicism. During the 1920s, architects merged classical order with pared-down detail. Smooth pastel plaster, evenly spaced windows, and low-hipped roofs created calm facades without heavy ornament. Shallow cornices and string courses offered hierarchy, while open dining living areas modernized interiors, an approachable stepping stone to full modernism. Functionalism. In the 1930s and 1940s, Bauhaus ideas guided houses toward flat roofs, white render, and horizontal ribbon windows. Concrete frames allowed open plans and large glazing for daylight and hygiene. Integrated garages, built-in wardrobes, and central heating reflected new domestic routines. Arne Jacobsen's Bella Vista, housing from 1934, exemplifies these clean lines and seaside orientation. Type houses. After World War II, Denmark solved a housing crunch with the Typhus, a factory-patterned type house. This single-story brick bungalow used prefabricated roof parts and a simple L or rectangular plan with open living, small kitchen, and 2 or 3 bedrooms. Quick to build and cheap to buy, thousands of type houses filled 1950s and early 1960s suburbs and still line many streets today. Parcel houses. From the late 1960s, a larger plot house, the Parcel House, took over new suburbs. Still one-story and brick-clad, it sat on its own garden parcel, added a carport or garage, and used an L or U-shaped so sliding doors could open the living area to a patio. Extra space and private yards made Parcelhus the dominant family home around cities like Aarhus, Odense, and Copenhagen. Late Modernism. Economic expansion in the 1960s and 1970s encouraged terraced rows, cluster housing, and precast concrete tower blocks. Load-bearing panels sped construction, and site plans separated pedestrian paths from traffic, inserting communal greens and playgrounds. Some complexes faced criticism for monotony, yet others, such as Albertslund Cid, earned recognition for exploring social housing ideals. Postmodern. Through the 1980s and 1990s, designers reintroduced color, allusions to history, and varied massing. Facades might sport zigzag cornices, patterned brick bands, or oversized classical pediments executed in modern materials. Although never widespread, such houses and civic buildings added visual variety after decades of restrained modernism. Summer houses. Since the 1950s, holiday cottages have dotted Denmark's coasts and forests. Early versions were modest timber cabins, while later examples feature glass walls, cedar cladding, and insulated shells for year-round use. Typically under 70 square meters and zoned for seasonal occupancy, summer houses emphasize informality, outdoor living, and a close bond with dunes or woodland. Contemporary minimalism. From the 1990s onward, Danish houses often show crisp volumes, charcoal brick or black timber cladding, extensive glazing, and energy-optimized envelopes. Interiors favor light oak floors, integrated storage, and open kitchen living zones. Strict building codes require low air leakage rates and heat recovery ventilation, combining Nordic minimalism with high sustainability standards. Modern timber. In the 21st century, cross-laminated timber and hybrid timber concrete frames allow multi-story homes with reduced embodied carbon. Architects mix warm pine interiors with green roofs, solar panels, and rainwater harvesting. Demonstration schemes such as Circle House in Copenhagen, led by Lendiger Group with Van Kunsten and others, aim for up to 90% recyclability, showing Denmark's commitment to climate-conscious craftsmanship. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this overview of Danish house styles, feel free to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Did I miss something you love? Let us know in the comments.